Well, hello everyone. Good morning. This is Slim Talk Live, and we are here at the beautiful campus of Norfolk State University.
That's right.
Behold the green and gold. And this one. And I have here as my guest that I've had on the radio program. And the reason we're just doing Facebook Live today and we normally will be on the radio, but they're having some technical difficulties at the station because they just moved. They just moved from Bremerton and Church to Virginia Beach Boulevard in Norfolk. So they're trying to get things together there. So we're just going live today. So I have as my guest, who is a reoccurring guest, Dr. Ernestine Duncan. She's the chair of psychology here at Norfolk State University, and I've had her on several times on the radio, and we've talked about the stigma of mental health in African American communities. We talked about suicide, and we talked about other things that are related to mental health, how a lot of people miss out on opportunities that might be out there for them to be helped as far as mental health and a lot of things. We went to sort of a panel. I invited her to a panel that I was invited to be on, and it was about illiteracy and poverty and how it is associated with crime. And we sat down there, and a lot of people had a lot of good things to say, a lot of good ideas. But one of the things, until I guess we brought it up, that we thought that should be mentioned in there, that as a component in there, mental health in the communities. You know, some of these things that go on, you know, as far as that might be associated with crime or low self-esteem, mental health, it might be a part of that. So we sort of brought that into the panel discussion that wasn't brought up until Dr. Duncan eloquently expressed how we should consider that as a part of looking for a solution or looking for a way to sort of curb the crime in our neighborhoods, you know. So
with 1 in 4 people experiencing some form of mental illness in their lifetime, we know that mental health, mental illness issues impact so many of the dynamics that we see with people. Poverty, illiteracy, homelessness, individuals who are ultimately labeled as disabled and unable to work. All of these have some factors that are associated with mental health. So we can't ignore it. It impacts so many aspects of our everyday life. And with so many people experiencing it and the prevalence that we see, particularly with things like depression.
Yes.
It really needs to be a part of the conversation.
And I think most people out here probably have some form of depression, and some of it might be really deep and serious, and some of it might just be that one day when you get up and I'm depressed or feel like, you know, for that particular moment or that day, I just don't feel like myself.
Exactly.
And that could be something that probably down the road should be addressed. You know, because you have it that one day doesn't mean that it might resurface at another point, and it might be something that could be reoccurring that needs to be addressed professionally.
Right. When we talk about, let's use depression as an example, we talk about it as an abnormal behavior. It means, though, that there are some aspects of it that could be described as normal. Mm-hmm. And so all of us feel some sadness from time to time. For most of us, it's linked to a situation. We might be sad we didn't get the job. We may lose someone who we're close to. And clearly, that would lead us to feelings of sadness and depression. But it's when that sadness and that depression escalates to a point where people are unable to carry out their daily activities that we then talk about it being diagnosable. Mm-hmm. And so abnormal behavior, normal behavior, it means that we should all be able to identify with some of the things that people who have mental illness experience, because they're not very different than we are.
Right.
It's just that they are experiencing whatever the symptoms are to such a degree that it does not allow them to be able to function in an everyday in an everyday way that's effective and efficient for them.
And we also talked about in our discussions, our previous discussions about spirituality versus the clinical treatment
Yes.
of mental health.
Yes.
And I think we kind of agreed that a combination of both can be important, or one or the other.
Right.
More so the clinical. You can't rely on spirituality alone to solve something that might be a chemical imbalance. So
Exactly right.
you have to sort of realize that you need to combine those both if you're spiritual or
if
religious.
if you're spiritual, and that's important to you, clearly
Mm-hmm.
that has some positive effects. Interestingly enough, I was doing some research just yesterday, and I found that there's a play that is touring right now, and it's called Just Pray About It.
Mm.
And it is based on a book that was written by a counselor who uses this platform to address how in the church, particularly the black church, we tend not to want to deal with mental health issues because we believe that if we just give it to God, it's one of those things that He'll work out for us. And while we believe that God is able and He can do all things, as you just mentioned, there are times when this is the result of some type of chemical imbalance, some type of physiological problem.
Mm-hmm.
And as such, the most effective treatment is going to be medication.
Yeah, you just have to realize the roles of each.
Mm-hmm.
And God can be there, but He'll be there to give you strength to endure whatever you have to do on the clinical side.
Exactly.
And so you have to you can't be so focused
Exactly.
on one thing that you miss out on something that might really be advantageous to you. So, and I think, and I'm thinking about it too, we're here on the beautiful campus of Norfolk State University.
Beautiful campus.
Even though, I won't mention that other HBCU, this BUU. But anyway, we're here on the beautiful campus of Norfolk State University, and you talk about, you're thinking about mental health. I mean, you have all these students here, and some of the pressures that they might be under, either from home, they still might be dealing with issues from home, even though they might be in another state. The pressures of doing well here, the pressures of being away from home the first time, the pressures of, or learning people from different areas for the first time. It's a rude awakening. Well, I won't say rude awakening. It's an awakening for some students coming from out of town to a university for the first time, and continuing on through their years here. So, is there anything that you're doing on the college level to make sure to help the students that might have issues?
I would say
Especially with
overall there is a movement towards addressing the types of stresses that students experience. The data shows us that of any group of people, college students tend to be the most highly stressed for the very reasons that you have indicated. They are away from home. There are pressures that are related to their academics. There are peer pressures. Students at Norfolk State University tend to be what we call non-traditional students. So these are students who also have the demands of sometimes full-time employment, or they're caregivers, or they are parents. And so when you put all of those things together, we kind of refer to that as a quiet storm. And of course, the Department of Psychology is poised to address that because we're aware of the detrimental effects of stress and how it impacts people. And more specifically, we have a couple of programs that, one, help people to address reducing the stigma so that it makes it more easy to talk about and to admit when you're feeling overwhelmed. But we also enjoy the benefit of a counseling center. The counseling center is here on campus. Our director is Dr. Vanessa Caldwell Jenkins, and they provide services to our students in an environment that's safe and that is supportive.
Well, that's good, because I can remember being in school, and this was back in the 70s, and there was a lot of people that came there with you in your freshman year, and a lot of them, the pressure of it sent them home, and some came back.
Right.
I guess they went home and got themselves together, or maybe got professional help. But it was nothing on campus,
Mm-hmm.
for those students to go. I mean, we had a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
and we had, but I can't recall anything on campus being able, where those students could go and say, I can't take this pressure. But a lot of them end up going home, and a lot of them didn't come back.
It's interesting because talking to Dr. Caldwell Jenkins of the Counseling Center, she's let us know that students are coming to college already with diagnoses. So we have an increasing number of students who are arriving on campuses
So is that something that will be in their portfolio or their
in their academic
in
records.
academic record?
Yes, it would
Okay.
be. And there are also certain.
That's not their privacy. That's something that
they would
volunteer themselves.
right. They would
Okay.
willingly let us
Okay.
know because there are some students who need particular accommodations, and we are required by law to provide those accommodations for them if they provide us with the documentation that says that they in fact have some type of disorder.
That's good to hear, because I think sometime back that might have kept some students from coming to school,
Exactly
being
right.
admitted.
Exactly.
If that was something that might have been a flag for some colleges, where we don't want any trouble. I mean, just to be real about it.
Yeah.
So, but we talked about the spirituality of it. So, Grove
Yes.
Church, which both of us are a member over in
Mhm.
Portsmouth, for Dr. Melvin O'Mariner, senior pastor, is having a mental health summit
Yes.
this weekend.
Yes. This weekend, Saturday, September 15th, from 9 to 2. Grove is a church, and as we know, we serving the needs of people. And we cannot ignore that across the country, in the state of Virginia, in Hampton Roads, in Portsmouth, that mental health issues, whether it be the diagnoses of anxiety, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and substance abuse, we're seeing an increasing number of people becoming addicted to opiates. And so these are things that need to be addressed in our communities. And I feel fortunate to be a member of Grove, where Pastor Mariner approaches and embraces the issues related to mental health. And so, yes, we will be having our first mental health summit this Saturday. Again, that's the 15th, and it is from 9 o'clock till 2. We plan to address, first of all, increasing people's knowledge about mental health and about mental illness, because there are things that we can do to be proactive and to prevent mental illness. So we want to talk about those things.
You said mental health and mental illness, so they're two separate entities.
They are two separate entities. We look at mental health as the way in which we function and we adapt to various situations. Life as we know it in this century is stressful, whether it's work, whether it's, look at the country and the things that are happening around us. And so we know that is stressful to people. And given that there's a significant amount of a prevalence of mental illness, we then look at how do people then take care of themselves in such a way that they can deal with the stresses that this life confronts us with, our society confronts us with. And we refer to that as mental health. How do we do things to take care of ourselves? Just like our physical health, we know that if we eat certain foods, we know that if we get adequate rest, we know that if we keep our doctor's appointments, that we will have good physical health. And similar to that, there are things that we can do that will ensure our good mental health. And so we talk about that distinction. We plan to have experts who are going to give us a panel discussion about children's mental health, about the National Association of Mental Illness, which is a national group that looks at how do caregivers for people who have mental illness, how do they take care of themselves?
Right.
We're going to talk about those things, substance abuse as it relates to pregnant women, because women are pregnant, they're addicted to drugs, and in turn, their children are addicted.
Come out and they have no choice in the matter.
No choice in the matter. We're also going to have representatives there that are going to talk to us about stress management and what do we do in order to ensure that the things that we are impacted by don't get the best of us. And so there's going to be a representative from a local yoga clinic
Mm-hmm.
who's going to talk with us about ways to take care of ourselves. Additionally, we're going to have community resources and vendors who are going to be in the building who are going to tell us about their services, what they provide, how insurance can help to take care of some of these
That's so
services.
important.
And we want people to be
Having
connected,
people to know where they can go.
where they can
and not
go
be
and what they
ashamed to go there.
and
to
what
get
they
that
can
help.
get.
I think that's going to be, and of course, the spirituality part of it is going to be a part of that too, since it is in the church.
In the church, yes.
But because it's in the church, I like the fact that you're bringing in all these other experts
Mm-hmm.
to let the people know that come to the program that it's a twofold,
Mm-hmm. It is. Hand in hand.
hand in hand.
Hand in hand. More recently, we're aware that there were several celebrity suicides, and I was able to see a sermon. I think a lot of people did because it went viral.
Mm-hmm.
And the minister said, "You can pray and still go to the therapist."
Right.
So those are things that we know we can do, and they complement each other.
Yeah.
One is effective, both are effective, but if you put them together, you're probably going to see your best results.
Because God has a way of putting people in your life.
Exactly. He
that help.
trains.
When and what some people pray and don't realize that their blessing is right there in front of
In
them.
front of them. Yeah.
But they're looking for the blessing to come in one way, but
Right.
God has provided it in another way.
In another way.
And that way could be in a mental health professional.
Yes.
So knowing where they are and where to go,
Hmm.
that's the thing. Because God said, okay, I'm putting this in front of you.
That's our plan for
That's
Saturday.
yes.
That's our
And
plan.
that's going to be good. And
Yeah.
one last thing, you brought up the OPED thing, and a lot of people think that the people voluntarily taking these drugs and get
Mhm.
a lot of times, and I'll tell you, I just had a hip replacement, and I was on pain medication before, and it got to the point where the pain medication wasn't working.
Mhm.
Now, I thank God that I was strong enough not to just keep increasing the dosage
Mhm.
to try to dull the pain. I just stopped taking it altogether.
Mhm.
But some people are not that fortunate. They try to take more than what's prescribed
Right.
in order to dull that pain.
Right.
So, and next thing you know, there are people that need help
Right.
because they're hooked on
Right.
those prescription drugs.
And some people, like you, they can exercise control
Mhm.
and discipline, but we also have to acknowledge the fact that many of these drugs have highly addictive properties.
Right.
So that once people take them, it increases the feeling for them that they need to take them,
Mhm.
and they become dependent.
Right.
Their bodies develop the tolerance, as you described, where the same amount of medication doesn't have the same impact. So they want to increase their dosages. But at the same time, the way that the drug acts in the body makes it such that people feel like they cannot function without it.
And it's not always that image that we see so often of the person out on the street with the needle in his arm. It's some
The
people,
everyday person.
Some people are functioning addicts,
Yes.
to a certain extent
Yes.
until it starts affecting their
Exactly.
everyday life. So this is something that we hopefully many of you attend, and I think you just have to register.
Yes. Registration can be done through Calling Grove. I guess I would need to have that number. Let me get it. But we are providing lunch, so we are asking people to register with us no later than Tuesday. The number at Grove, I'm about to give it to you.
Okay, here comes the number, and can you also go on to their Facebook page and register through that, or is best?
We had not done registration through the Facebook
Okay.
page, and I would think we're getting so close that maybe we just want to do it by phone
Okay.
and do it by Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I apologize, I'm not prepared with the number.
Yep. Be sure to, by Tuesday, when we get the number to you, if you haven't already registered to come to this event. Once he gives you the number, be sure to call today and register and make that time in your schedule Saturday from 8:30 to 2.
To 2.
And it's very important. I think she has the number now.
So the number for Grove Church is 757-484-4149. And again, we'll be accepting registrations through Tuesday. So we hope to see you there because it's a lot of great information that we feel is necessary. And if it's not for you, it might be for somebody that you know and somebody that you love. We'll be having community resources there, spreading the word about what types of services they offer. We'll have a lot of pamphlets and information that people will be able to take away from the conference.
Well, and I thank you, Dr. Ernestine.
Thank you again.
And here on this beautiful Norfolk State campus, I told her earlier, in walking in the building, this is one of the new buildings on campus. It seems like they have all new buildings, many new buildings on campus. I felt like I wanted to go back to college, and I might do that. Maybe I'll take a few classes.
It's always time.
It's always time to
and
learn.
it's never too
And
late.
I always feel it's always time to learn and increase some of your knowledge and your awareness. There's no age to what you can learn, even though some people think so. But anyway, we thank you for watching, and we'll be showing this the rest of the week, and we look forward to seeing you at Grove, and be aware, be informed, and be involved. Thank you so much.
And thank you too for
Thank you
being committed to this issue and this topic. I appreciate that greatly.
Thank you. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.